Hey everyone, in front of me this is a Dell Latitude E7450 laptop computer. So I'm going to talk about why I think this is a really good laptop for general users in late 2021 and moving on to early 2022. Actually worked on or owned 4 of these laptops in the past. 2 of these I've actually used for myself, and 2 I've bought for either family members or friends. So these are, in my opinion, really good bang for the buck. That's why I reach out to these computers all the time when people ask for recommendations for something that's not expensive and also is quite capable of doing everyday tasks. Well, there are a lot of variations of the E7450. You got different RAM configurations, you've got different video card configurations, screen configurations, CPUs. You've had some E7450s that are even running like Haswell CPUs versus Broadwell CPUs, which is the Intel 5th generation core CPUs. What you're seeing here right now is this is a core i5-5300. This is a Broadwell CPU configuration here. The only real common thing in between all these different variations is that this is a 14-inch screen, and the chassis is like this black metallic alloy construction. So it feels really solid. If we also look at the sides, even though this laptop is several years old already, it still looks pretty nice, like all around. Like it has a fairly thin body. It does have these kind of wide bezels, but that's the way it was back then. Before we move on into this specific unit, I just want to talk to you about if you're in the market for one of these laptops, like what you should be looking for. Okay, so there's some models that come with a 1366 by 768 screen. I would avoid those. I would go for the IPS Full HD screen. I mean, it's just going to make your video viewing experience, your web browsing experience, and all kinds of visual experience just much better. There's really no reason to buy. I really think there's no reason to buy a 720p screen that's non-IPS in this day and age. So just go with the FHD IPS screen option. The other one is some CPUs. They're running some configurations. They're running Haswell CPUs. Those are the 4th generation Intel Core i CPUs. I would say avoid those because those are less power efficient. They have less features in the CPU. So just go with the Broadwells, the 5th generation. For memory, I would say go with 8 gigabytes because that's you can do enough things with 4 gigs, but with 8 gigs you're definitely on safer ground. One of the reasons why I recommend this computer a lot to my friends, family, and I've used it personally is its 14-inch form factor. And this applies to a lot of other 14-inch laptops as well. Basically, the screen size is big enough to be productive, but it's also small enough to be quite portable. At the 14-inch size, you also get a lot of ports. So this one has actually like 3 USB-A ports. Newer models, newer Latitudes, newer laptops are going to have also going to give you more ports than like 13-inch laptops, for example. The 14-inch size also gives you gives the chassis big enough space for heat dissipation. So like throttling is not as big of a problem with 14-inch laptops as compared with say 13 or even smaller laptops. At the same time, 14 inches is not too big, so something like this will fit easily into a backpack. As mentioned before, one of the standout features of this PC, in my opinion, is the screen. If you get the IPS option, the screen is... I don't think even in 2021, like say mid-range PCs you're not gonna get better screens than this. This has pretty good colors, really good brightness, and pretty much everything that you're looking for in a modern screen. Another thing I really like about this laptop is the combination of the speaker system and the Dell Waves audio software. It makes the sound pretty good. It has a lot of depth, more depth than you would find in, say, basic consumer laptops. So I'll just try to play some audio for you so you can take a listen. Okay, so hopefully it's can come through that the audio here is pretty good for a laptop of this budget and size. As I said before, this is a Core i5 5300 CPU. It has, this can come with up to an i7. But this is what is on this unit right now. And for basic web browsing, for basic productivity, video consumption, on YouTube, for example, this will be perfectly fine. I think the only thing that it kind of maybe struggles on is, say, content editing, like heavy content editing. If you're doing like a lot of video processing, then you might want to look at something with 8 logical cores. And you can see this one has, this is a 4 logical cores CPU. So yeah, so for 90% of you, 95% of people out there, this is going to be just totally fine. I have not seen much variation on the ports, so I'm going to show you the ports on this laptop. So this one has, you're looking at the right side of the laptop, you have a headphone jack, USB-A, and then you have the Kensington lock in the back, Ethernet. This should be a display port, another USB-A, HDMI, USB, USB-A, and power. And here you have SD card reader, and the vent. So let's take a look at the internals. And it's going to vary from model to model. And this specific model, it's a little bit weird because it has a mSATA SSD. Not many of these E7450s have mSATA SSDs, but this one does. Most of them will have a 2.5-inch bay. So the mSATA makes it a little bit more difficult to find larger capacity SSDs if you ever want to upgrade. Like 256 is where it's kind of reasonable for the price. Larger than that, then mSATA SSDs become expensive. Normally they have 2 DRAM slots, so this has capacity for 16 gigabytes if I ever want to put more RAM inside. You have your heat pipe, you have your fan. This one has, I don't think you can see it, but there is a NVIDIA graphics chip. It's a dedicated GPU in here. The dedicated GPU of this generation is not really going to be good for gaming anymore, but it'll be a little bit better than the built-in Intel GPU. So one of the things that impresses me about the E7450 is its camera module. So the camera module's quality does vary in between the different units, but overall from what I can see, they do put pretty good camera modules in there. Now it is a 720p camera, so it's not like something that's, it's not full HD, but the clarity and the motion smoothness is quite impressive, and the brightness is also quite impressive. So you don't get like a ton of noise on these cameras. So for web conferencing and things like that, it's really, really good, and probably one of the best that I've seen in laptops, even modern ones. Guys, so that is the review of the Dell Latitude E7450 laptop. And if you have any questions, of course, feel free to comment in the comment section below, and see you next time.